So in this video, I want to talk about what's going on with TikTok. I never thought I'd be doing a video about TikTok, but I kind of have to because it's relevant to the conversation that's happening geopolitically. If you don't know me, my name is Gerdes. I'm just a professor who tries to provide context for viewers about what's going on in the war in Ukraine. If you're interested in that matter, please consider subscribing. I do daily updates about that. But here we're going to be talking about TikTok. So TikTok, the social network, ceased operations in the United States less than 2 hours before the ban was set to take effect. So there was a ban that was set for the 19th. Today is January 19th because the Supreme Court upheld a TikTok ban. A TikTok ban they upheld was created by Congress and overwhelmingly passed. So here, the Supreme Court on Friday unanimously upheld a law requiring TikTok's China-based parent company to divest from the app, teeing up a ban set to take effect on Sunday. The justices sided with the Biden administration, finding the divest or ban law does not violate First Amendment just 3 days before President-elect Trump is set to take office. Trump had urged the justices to delay the deadline so that he could negotiate a deal, but the court instead acted with breakneck speed. Now, it was a deal that Trump was for before, now he seems to be against. So some years back, he was in favor of this, and now he seems to not be in favor of it. There is no doubt that for more than 170 million Americans, TikTok offers a distinct and expansive outlet for expression, means of engagement, and source of community, the court said in its opinion. But Congress has determined that the divestiture is necessary to address its well-supported national security concerns regarding TikTok's data collection and practices and relationship with a foreign adversary. So there is apparently, Congress can't agree about almost anything. So if Congress is agreeing about this, but by heavy margins, it's something to pay attention to. The court was unanimous in its judgment. The Supreme Court is almost unanimous in its judgments too, right? They're very infrequently, or they so one-sided about something. Although Justices Sonia Sotomayor and Neil Gorsuch filed separate concurrences. Okay, so and finally, the law was passed by wide bipartisan majorities in Congress and signed by President Biden last April. It gave TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, 270 days to divest from the app or face a ban from U.S. app stores. Now, I'm going to show you people wigging out near the end of this where, oh, how could they do this to me? That kind of thing. And you had 270 days to prepare for such a scenario. If your entire livelihood was caught up in TikTok, then, maybe you should have been preparing some kind of backup plan. Okay, with that being said, let's go on to the next thing. What happens next will have major repercussions for the global technology competition between China and the United States, and it could set the tone for Donald Trump's relationship with Beijing. Now, one of Trump's first trips is going to Beijing, and we'll see how this plays in or if it has any impact. But the concerns are about hacking and spying. So this is from Radio Free Europe, Radio Free Liberty. All of this comes amid heightened tensions between Beijing and Washington, as well as rising concerns over Chinese espionage and hacking in the United States. While critics of the bans and similar data and privacy concerns exist for U.S. social media platforms, the issue of Chinese ownership adds a new dimension. Can Twitter or can Facebook know way too much about you? Yes, but they're not owned by the Chinese Communist Party or potentially get access to from the Chinese Communist Party in quite the same way or direct way that they could get it from TikTok. So that's really the concern. Cybersecurity firms have suggested that the app can collect user data beyond what content they view on TikTok. China enacted a law in 2017 that compels Chinese nationals living abroad to cooperate with its intelligence apparatus. Public examples of this are few, but in 2023, British journalists had her data and location tracked by TikTok employees in China. And in the United States, U.S. court filings from a former ByteDance employee also outline how Chinese Communist Party accessed company data to spy on pro-democracy protesters in Hong Kong in 2018. Now, the best advice here is if you are not paying for something in social media, you are not just the consumer, you're the product. So think about it in those terms. When you're, hey, I can use this or that for free. No, you're the product. They're collecting data on you in order to sell something to you. Okay, here is a little bit from CNN talking about it, and then we'll look at a few other views. We'll look at Jake Bro and Mike Pence, and we'll see some TikTokers wigging out. And okay, here we go.
Nobody wants to be blamed for this, Jim. I just went back and looked at what that House vote was. The initial House vote for this national security bill, 360 to 58. This was not close.
Yeah, that's a blowout. By any means, that kind of a vote means that Congress is way in favor of this. And what happened here is that they had some intel reports, and the intel committee is like, hey, guys, this could be very, very bad for us. Okay, a little bit more from CNN.
Republicans were fully on board with this. So were most Democrats. This easily passed the House last year. Nobody wants to.
Yeah, so it passed bipartisanly in a Congress that's very, very divided. So, okay, that's the first thing. Then we'll see something like this. This lady, she's on TikTok, and this video got over 300,000 likes in less than 24 hours. Okay, let's hear what she has to say for just a little bit. She has a bit of a potty mouth, so I'm not going to show the whole thing.
If TikTok being banned does not radicalize you as an American citizen, you are intentionally missing the point because
or maybe you're already radicalized and through TikTok, and that's part of the problem here.
It's not about TikTok. It's the fact that Republicans and Democrats across all legislative branches can expeditiously and unanimously pull together like never before and probably never again to streamline legislation banning a social media app while completely ignoring
everything else, and she's going to start going with her potty mouth. So and she lists all kinds of things, but that they can do this and pull together on this issue tells you that there's a reason. Like they don't pull together. I mean, unless it's like happy birthday to somebody who's 100, and it doesn't make any, those are the only other times that they pull together and all vote for something, because nobody wants to be the guy not, saying happy birthday to a 100-year-old, right? Unless it's really, really important like this. So, okay, here's I think Jake Bro was no, this wasn't it. Biden leaves TikTok's fate in the hands of AP reports. The Biden ban here is coming the day before Trump takes office, and so basically, it's going to be left to Trump to enforce or do whatever he's going to do with it. Here is a little bit about it from Radio Free Europe, again, Radio Free Liberty, explaining some of the background.
TikTok has gone offline in the United States, leaving 170 million users unable to watch or share videos on the popular social media app. This was the message that appeared after TikTok went dark, just hours before a U.S. ban on the platform went into effect on January 19th. But it could be back soon, with U.S. President-elect Donald Trump saying he'd likely give TikTok a 90-day reprieve from the ban once he takes office on January 20th. A platform known for dance trends and viral videos, TikTok has become a lightning rod for controversy in the United States. The app gained more traction during COVID-19 lockdowns, and to keep up with TikTok's short-form videos, both Instagram and YouTube rolled out their own updates. Owned by Chinese company ByteDance, TikTok has faced mounting scrutiny over concerns it could be used by Beijing to surveil Americans or spread propaganda. U.S. officials and lawmakers from both parties cited national security risks as their primary concern.
Okay, so national security is the primary concern. Now, what does TikTok algorithm do? The best that I can detect, and correct me if I'm wrong, put it in the comments below, is that it gives you, their algorithm is actually really good at giving you more of whatever it is that you want. Whatever you select, they give you more of. So it's in some ways very similar to Blue Sky in that, but it's owned by the Chinese government or by Chinese entities, which essentially the Chinese government owns the Chinese entities and can get into anything that they want from the Chinese entities. So that's the problem there. Okay, here's Jake Bro talking about it. TikTok is banned by China, or banned in China. Okay, let's think about that. TikTok is banned. It's not banned in China fully. It's just that the Chinese won't let them use it in the same way that we use it in the United States. It's really limited to certain educational content, and that's about it. This is a Chinese company that won't let anyone in China use it because they know how harmful it is. Americans are getting upset because they're about to lose their preferred Chinese spying and propaganda platform, are clueless. Switch to literally any other platform to get your dance reaction videos that isn't allowed or that isn't owned by the Chinese Communist Party. Okay, so Jake Bro is saying this on one side. Here's Mike Pence also talking about this. The Supreme Court decision upholding the law requiring TikTok to divest from the Chinese Communist Party is a victory for the privacy and security of the American people. Oh, isn't that clamping down on free speech? No, they just want them to sell it and not be owned by it, and then you can do your stupid dances wherever you want, but that's what he's talking about. This law was the result of a bipartisan cooperation, and I commend its authors and supporters in Congress for enacting this vital law for our national security. The CCP, that's the Chinese government, has been put on notice that the American people's data is no longer for the taking. The incoming Trump administration must be prepared to uphold this TikTok divestment law and put the privacy and security of America first. Look at the difference between what Trump might do and what Pence, his former vice president, was just saying. That's the rift within the Republican Party between the MAGA side here and the old school conservatives like me and Pence. Okay, so a little bit more. They're putting out videos like this. Here's how to use TikTok after the ban with no VPN, because they tried to use VPNs to get into it and that wasn't working. So go to airplane mode and then go into TikTok and go to plus button. And they're telling you this in videos here. Okay. This Chinese national is explaining a little bit about TikTok that you need to understand. That a Chinese app is getting banned doesn't make China a free speech refuge. Some advice for young people who are understandably upset with the TikTok ban. So he's going to explain a little bit, and it's worth listening to.
Cringe going on TikTok. So because people are super mad about the ban, they start to sing China's praises so hard. I think their sentiment is that any victim of the stupid US government is their ally. It's not that simple, dude. If a dirty cop beats up a drug dealer, it doesn't make the drug dealer your friend. Do you know how many American social media are banned in China? Just take a wild guess.
All of them.
Yup, all of them. 100%. Not just social media, even some relatively innocent like Wikipedia, Netflix, or Google, or Fortnite. If you believe banning websites is evil and painful, you can't possibly think China is a pleasant place to live in, can you? Or maybe you're just like, I don't care about other websites. My life is complete with TikTok alone. But you should know that even China bans TikTok, okay? There is a Chinese version of TikTok, but the censorship criteria of that version is very different. This video, for example, would be banned on that version. So yeah, you could envy other countries who don't ban the international version of TikTok. But China is not one of them. Let me tell you this. Whatever anguish and frustration you're feeling right now is what Chinese residents have been feeling ever since the beginning of the internet.
Okay, let's talk about some of that anguish. Here are some TikTokers that are very, very upset about this ban. So here we are.
It's really not fair that they're banning TikTok, and I know it's dramatic as hell that I'm crying, but I just seen the video of the girl that made the renegade dance. And I'm crying because I read a comment that was like the algorithm saying goodbye to us. And I've been noticing that a lot over the past week. Like all the trends that came in the beginning are coming back. And it just makes me really sad because it genuinely feels like our parents just came in the middle of a school year and said, yeah, forget all your friends, forget all the hard work that you did at this school, forget everything that you did. You're going to have to start from scratch.
Okay. Well,
and to the U.S. government, I'm never forgiving you for this. And I'm never going to trust you ever again because you just, like that, took away millions of people's income and livelihood. And who does that? So I'm never trusting you ever again with anything.
So I'm starting to give up hope that there's going to be a Hail Mary moment at the end of this that's going to save this app.
I feel so dumb coming on the internet and crying about an app. But the fact is that this has been a sense of community for me for years now. And it got me through really, really hard times in my life. The pandemic, losing my job, all of that. Getting divorced, all of this crap that's happened to me in the last 5 years since I've been on here. Hours and hours and hours of time I put into creating stuff for this platform. And I'm not the biggest creator on here. I'm not I don't have 3 million followers or 10 million followers, but I do have a platform. It's the biggest platform I have. And I worked really, really hard to make it. On top
Yeah, and I understand the working really hard and then, feeling like the floor has been cut out from under you, but you had 270 days in order to prepare for such a potential moment. And it's not even necessarily going to be all over. It just has to change hands of ownership in order for it to continue. So that's where we are at this point. It's one more
Has
crying
anyone else just been
TikToker.
crying on this app all night? Because it feels like we're losing, like, a community. It feels like we're losing friends. We're losing, like, a platform where we learned so much about things we didn't know about, opportunities, places to eat, movies to watch, books to read.
I don't think there's a lot of book reading going on TikTok, but nonetheless, okay. So you see where people are with this, and so I just wanted to kind of give you an overview of everything that was happening here, why it was happening, and what will happen next. Could it be used by nefarious purposes? I think so, and I think that's what the congressmen were really bracing against. There are all kinds of, and I didn't show you these, but there are all kinds of videos about talking about how it's a collusion. They're trying to bolster Facebook, or so-and-so congressman bought Facebook, whatever, and that's what's causing this. Or I don't think that that's what it is. I think they really are seriously concerned about data being used for nefarious purposes, but I could be wrong. Tell me what you think in the comments below. I'll leave you with just one more thing, and that is Ryan Macbeth talking about it to try to explain what's going on here.
The Supreme Court just ruled TikTok can be shut down. So this story actually dovetails in with my story on signs of war with China. If you want to know the 5 signs of impending war with China, you can click somewhere down here if you're on YouTube. But one of those signs was disinformation, and that's what TikTok was fantastic at doing. Now, I've said this before, disinformation can be a kinetic effector, and we should actively target foreign actors who are using disinformation for kinetic effects. Now, here's an example. Back in 2023, AROC, or the Arab Resource Organizing Center, used social media to encourage weak-minded college students to glue themselves to the side of the MV Cape Orlando, which is a U.S. Ready Reserve transport ship operating out of the port of Oakland. Now, they did this because supposedly this ship was carrying weapons to Israel, although I don't think anybody looked at a map. Because you would leave for Israel from the east coast of the United States, not the west coast. You'd have to travel halfway around the world to reach Israel. But that's why they call these people useful idiots. Gluing yourself to the side of the ship isn't freedom of speech. It is a weapons effector. What is the difference between using an explosive to sabotage a ship from leaving port or using a weak-minded college student to glue themselves to the side of the ship? The effect is the same. If deterrence fails and China invades Taiwan, China will use disinformation and platforms like TikTok as weapons effectors to convince people to glue themselves to the side of Navy ships or stand in front of U.S. Army convoys. And the fact is that people will do it for internet points that don't exist. So with this TikTok ban, we've just taken out a major adversary weapon platform without ever firing a shot.
So that's a pretty good explanation of what the potential danger may be. Is it overblown? I don't know. I think there might be something legitimate to it. I'm not privy to the intel reports or anything along those lines, but that's where we are. Okay, so that's what we have. Put it in the comments below. Or what else are we missing here? And I'll leave you with this last little picture here. This is Xi Jinping in the Babylon Bee. China is starting to worry that TikTok has made Americans even dumber than they intended. All right, my friends, that's all that I have for you. Thank you for the time, the likes, the shares, the subscribes. If you are not a subscriber to my YouTube channel that talks about what updates about Ukraine, please consider subscribing. Thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.